Hi, my name is Matthew Baker, and my presentation is on Burp Suite Scanner. Let's get started. In order to launch Burp Suite, you need to verify that you have Java installed. From there, you would open up the command prompt. You can check your Java version because you need to run 1.6 or later in order to use Burp Suite. So you can do Java dash version to check it. And to run it, you would perform run java dash jar dash xmx 1024m and then the path. The 1024 is the memory you're going to allocate to Burp Suite, and the path to burp.jar is your path to Burp Suite. When I'm running it, I'm actually running it from Kali, and it's automatically built in Backtrack. You go through the vulnerability tools and web application, and you would get to it through there. So to start, you need to select a project. You're given three choices: temporary, new project on disk, or open existing project. So for temporary projects, it's going to be your quick things. And remember that this data is not saved, which is very important, because if you want to save all this information, and everything that you're doing on a website, you do not want to use that. The other option is new project on disk, which will save all of your information to the Burp project file on that disk, and it will automatically save. And the other option is open your existing project, which reopens the project. And one thing with that is the spider and scanner tools will pause, so it will prevent duplication on your existing project. Configuration of Burp. So you can use the Burp defaults, which will open the project using Burp's default options. You can use options saved with the project. But one thing with this, it's only available when reopening an existing project. And we'll open the project using the options that were saved in that project file. And finally, you can load from a configuration, and it will open the project using the options contained in the selected Burp configuration file. So, and then the next thing we need to do is configure the browser. So we need to go through to the settings of the browser and the network settings, and we need to do a manual proxy configuration because Burp Suite runs through a HTTP proxy, which 127.0.0.1 on port 8080 is the one used here. And you can use it on Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Firefox, Safari, but pretty much it's the same on each of those. Is the proxy you set up. Okay, so let's get into Burp Suite. So here's it opened. You see all your tabs: your repeater, sequencer, decoder, compare, extender, scanner, intruder, spider, proxy, target. So target, we have two tabs under target: sitemap and scope. The sitemap is actually your spidered site that going through. So I spidered 192.168.1.2, and you get all of your information, and it'll literally spider out the entire site for you to see how it's built. The scope tab is the defined scope that your target is using. So the tools in Burp Suite, you have spider, scanner, intruder, repeater, sequencer, decoder, comparer. So let's go into all of these. So from your spider, you have your spider status under your control tab, which allows you to pause or run your spider, and you can clear your queues. And then you have the spider scope down below, which the suite, you can use the regular suite scope, which is the default, or you can make your own custom scope. So your spidering options tab, you have crawler settings, passive spidering, form submission, application login, Spider engine, request headers. So the crawler settings, it controls how the spider crawls through the site when spidering. The passive, it monitors site traffic. So it's gonna do it in a passive mode while monitoring. Your form submission, that's gonna control how you submit your HTML forms during spidering. Your application login, that's gonna control how the submissions, how the spidering submits the login forms while spidering. Your spider engine, it controls the engine for making your HTTP requests, and the request headers controls the request headers in the HTTP requests. So how to spider. So you need to configure your browser so that you have your proxy set up. The one thing is you turn on the interceptor, which is right there under your proxy tab and under intercept. And then you go through, you will, as you would browse pages, and as you would click a page, it would load, and then you would have to come back to the proxy setting and hit the forward tab, the forward button there. And as you do that, every time you forward, it will spider it. And the page goes through your interceptor as it does that. And like I said, you just forward the page. So, and then you can go to your target tab, and you can see like down here that there's page ID 26, 28, contact. You also see where some are dark and some are very light in color, like partners. Partners is a lighter color, which means it's a hidden form. So what we can do is we can go to the page ID contact, and let's change the URL to page ID equals partners, and it will open up that hidden page. So the scanner. So you have your tabs in scanner, about Burp scanner, pretty self-explanatory. It just tells you about the scanner. And then there's the issue definitions. It tells you what this Burp edition can do. What can it detect? We can see it can detect HTTP put method is enabled. You have post method, you have traversal, you have ASP.NET. There's a very vast list, and it also gives a description of each. Intruder. So this is our intruder tab. So intruder allows you to customize your attacks. So you can see here that we're trying to log in to, we're in a post page for login. We're trying to log into an admin with the user admin. So what we're going to do is we're going to send that to the intruder. And to do that, we will right click on it, and we will go to send to intruder, or you can do Control I. And then here we have the different parts of the intruder. You have target, positions, payloads, and options. So your target is details of the target server. Your position will configure the attack template for the intruder. Your payloads configure the payloads that you want to send, and your options are your configuration options. As you can see here, we have our target, which is our host and the port, and we're using HTTPS. Then you have your position. So we have our position here, where the username, we went ahead and emptied out, and we changed the password to 2. So you see the little squiggly kind of like and symbols. That is actually what you are attacking. So you can add them, clear them, you can make them automatic, you can refresh it, and then you would click start attack to go ahead and start the attack. And then there's the payloads tab. So we're going to go ahead and attack the username here because that's what we have set. So we are going to set the payload to 1, and we're going to just do a simple list, which the payload type can be numbers, simple lists. There is a vast amount. And we are going to go ahead and put usernames in there, and we're going to go ahead and paste it, and we're going to start the attack. And then what it's going to do is, where the username is empty there, it's going to go ahead and send each username to that with password 2, and it's going to tell you whether or not that username is valid. So, or we could do the username as admin, and we could change the password and put a password list in here, and it would send the passwords through. Goes the same way. Repeater. Repeater is used to manually modify and resend requests repeatedly. It's great against CAPTCHAs. So what we have here is we have intercepted a CAPTCHA, and we're going to send the view state to the repeater. So we're going to right click the view state, we're going to send it to the repeater, which is the picture on the right. Oh no, I'm sorry, I don't have that pictured. But you right click it, and then you can do send to repeater, the same as we did earlier with interceptor, or you can do Control R. And then our view state is in the request, where we see that the text message is whatever, and the CAPTCHA is what the CAPTCHA was. So we can go ahead and change the information to whatever 22, and we can go ahead and hit go, and it will generate a response for the CAPTCHA, and we will just go ahead and forward that back through our proxy to the CAPTCHA itself, and it will change the information. So that is how repeater works. We modify and resend requests. Sequencer. Sequencer is used to analyze randomness in session tokens. We have options of live capture, where we can select live capture requests. We can do token location within the response. We can also do live capture options. So select live capture request. It sends requests to this from the other tools to configure live captures. The token location within the response, it is used to select a location in a response where the token is appearing, and we could set that. So we can set the token where the token should appear as the location in the response with the sequencer. And then we also have the live capture, which these control the engine used for making your HTTP requests and harvesting your tokens during live capture. And then we can also do a manual load, which allows you to load sequencer with a sample of tokens that we already have. Then we can do the analysis option, which we have token handling, which allows us to control how tokens are handled, start, and we can pad them, things like that. Token analysis, this option below the option, there's options in it, and what's there, you have count, transitions, a lot of different options, and they control the types of analysis that are going to be performed. And then you have, they can either be performed at character levels or bit levels. And then we have decoder. So this transforms bits of data by decoding and encoding it. So what we do is, if we have something that is in ASCII and we want to go ahead and decode it into plain text, so we can right click on that information that is captured by Burp and send it to the decoder. And we have the options to decode and encode in plain text, URL, HTML, base4, ASCII, hex, octal, binary, and gzip. So there's a lot of ways to encode and decode data that is captured. So this is pretty much how it works. So we have our price here on the right. We're going to highlight that, and we're going to right click it, and we are going to send it to the decoder. So our decoder tab turns orange, and that's another thing. Whenever you send something to any of these tabs, compare, decoder, sequencer, it will turn orange like proxy and interceptor is here. That means that Burp has pretty much taken something. And so we're going to do that. So we're going to go, we have in decoder, we have the 707 to 69 in ASCII. So what we want to do is we want to decode that we want to decode as ASCII text. So we're going to, on the right hand side, which is here, we're going to decode as ASCII hex, the green. And you'll see it turns green, so it knows we're decoding as ASCII, and it gives us our price at that. So what we can do now is change our price to, say, $1, and we can re-encode it as ASCII, and then insert that new encoded ASCII text back into where the price was, and forward that back to the client's or the server, and we can change information that we want. So then there's compare. This will perform comparisons to find differences. So what I'll do is, from our HTTP history in proxy, I'll send one, say one post method to compare as the request and one as the response. And what it'll do is you can either compare in words or bytes. So here we compared two different HTTP requests, or two HTTP post methods, and this will compare what is the same on them, and it'll do it from the bytes level or the words level. So this is where we get into demo. So right here I have Burp already up and set up. So here's my target. Right here we can make this smaller, we can bring that in. This, so 192.168.12. So this is its spidering. So you can see here, you can change, you can look at it, parameters, headers, the request, response, hex, the response, in raw data, the request, in raw data. It'll tell you pretty much everything. And then here is your scope. Our proxy, so interceptor is off. I want to intercept the website via my proxy, so right there I click it from off to on. And what comes through will be in the parameters, headers, hex. We can view HTTP history that we've done. We can do WebSockets history. And this is our options for our proxy. To spider something. So we can pause the spider, we can run it, we can clear it, we can do a custom scope and add our scope in there, and however we want to do that. And our options, we can check robots.txt, which is important. That's something that you can have a lot of luck with and find a lot of hidden things in. There's passive, form submission, you can see here, application login, spider engine. There are a lot of options you can do with spidering. Scanner tells us everything about it. Intruder. Okay, so here we have a target. There's our target. Our position is that. We can clear this out. We can clear out all of those. Clear that out. We can add that into there. Then we can check our payloads, and we could paste say something in there or add whatever we would want. You can payload set at 1. You can do a simple list, runtime files, recursive, numbers. You can do dates. You can brute force. There are a lot of options. So this will attack this position on this post method. So P3, it's going to attack that. So if I want to do payloads of, let's do, so numbers, we can do, let's do a random set of numbers. Or now we can do sequential from to how many. So from 1 to 20, and add a step of 1. So the payload count is 20 and the request count is that. So you start your attack. Alright, so that would be how you do it. But so right here's your intruder attack. So it's going to keep attacking it 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 20. So request 0, baseline request, it pretty much backed out. So that's how you would do that. Now it's going to go to 1, then 2, and you can see our bar down here, 1 to 20. Yeah, I can go ahead and cancel that because we don't need that anymore. Here's our alerts, shows us everything that's going on. Our intruder had connection failures, failed to connect, negotiate, everything like that. So target we got all the way down there. We finished with intruder. So let's go to repeater. So repeater. So right here. So in our repeater, I forwarded this here. We have new information. That was what was sent here. So let's add new information 1. I can go ahead and hit go. It changes the content like there. It will change everything in the response. Then what we would do is go back to our proxy, if it lets me, and go to intercept, and you would forward it back through. Sequencer. So sequencer, you can do your live capture. We went through all of that. Manual load, analysis options, everything. So decoding. Here's my decoding. So we decoded this here. We decode an ASCII, which gives us 299. So what we can do is we can change that to 100, and then we would encode back into ASCII, and there's our new ASCII number for 100. Comparer. So here we sent information to the comparer. So we're going to compare this post method to this post method. Or no, we can compare this HTTP to this HTTP. So we can compare in words. So we're going to compare that, and it shows us what is the same in that. Or we can go ahead and compare it into bytes. And it will show us all of the bytes that are similar. I don't need to do that anymore. And we have extender, which is our extensions of Burp, our project options, our user options, and all that. So I'm going to exit out of this, and I'm going to open it back up to show how you actually would get into it. No, I'm sorry. That was the wrong thing. I was going into Firefox, which I have proxy set up, so you can see that it was not working. So Burp Suite's going to open. So here we have our temporary, we have our new. Since this is a free edition, I don't get my new project on disk. You would have to pay for that, or open existing. So we will open a temporary, and I can load from a configuration file and choose the file, default options in the future. So we can do that. We start Burp up, and it goes. So we'll let that load. So there is Burp up and running. So we would start Firefox from here. It's going to connect. See how it's connecting there? I have proxy set up. Ah, darn it. So the proxy set up, so I would actually have to forward it to get working. But that is how Burp works. Let me get back into it. That is the basis on Burp Suite, and all of the tabs and how everything would work, and showing you a couple things that you can do to get it to work. So let's go ahead and bring that over. Come here. And it's running a little slow. There we go. So here's this. We can back out. Let's reopen. The proxy should kick in. No, it's not. I don't know why it's not working right now. It's weird. Well, we can go in here and we would go to preferences, and we can verify the proxy. Let's go to advanced. We can go to our connection settings and network. Right here is that it is set up. But that is pretty much a rundown of how Burp Suite works. So I appreciate your time, and thank you.